For the entire week that Angela was gone, my mind was full of questions. Should I confront her, change the locks, think about divorce? It was tough to imagine ending 4 years of marriage, but I couldn't ignore the pain of her cheating again, especially after all the work we put into fixing things the first time. She had promised it wouldn't happen again, but here we were. This betrayal hurt deeply. Her first affair had completely thrown off our plans to start a family, and it took months to rebuild the trust between us. Strangely enough, Angela was the one who confessed to the first affair. I had no clue and would never have guessed anything. Though her confession was painful, it gave us the chance to work through the problem. I still remember that moment clearly. We were on our way back from her mom's house. Angela had been quiet during dinner, though her mom's constant talking hid any signs of trouble. "You know I love you, right?" she asked, out of nowhere. "Yeah, I do." "Are you feeling insecure?" I asked, a little confused. "No, it's not that. I have something bad to confess," she said, clearly struggling. "I had an affair. It's over now. It didn't last long. I'm so sorry. I wish I could undo it." I was shocked. My first questions were, who was it with? Why did it happen? Where did it happen? I'm glad I asked, because in that moment she told me everything. It was Carol's fiancé who had been pursuing her. She said she agreed to meet him for a drink, telling herself it was to gather evidence to show Carol. At least that's what she convinced herself. She tried to discourage him, telling him he should only want Carol. A couple of weeks later, while I was away on a business trip, she went to a party at Carol's place, had a few drinks, and ended up in bed with him. She saw him 2 more times before the guilt became too much, and she said she ended it. 2 months later, we went to their wedding, and a month after that, they moved to Chicago. I could almost understand how it happened. An attractive guy showing interest, a little alcohol, and things can get out of hand. But the fact that it happened more than once was hard to accept. And with Carol's fiancé, betraying her best friend like that was beyond my comprehension. How could she stand there as a bridesmaid, celebrating her friend's wedding while secretly sleeping with the groom? After her confession, things between us fell apart. I didn't want to be at home, and I couldn't even bring myself to touch her. Every time I tried, I pictured her with Carol's fiancé. The fact that she had kept this secret from me made me feel like a fool. I cringed just thinking about congratulating him at the wedding, offering him marriage advice, completely unaware of what was really going on. After 2 weeks of barely speaking, Angela asked if we could try counseling. She was afraid I would leave her, that she'd ruined our marriage for good. The counseling sessions were difficult, but after several months, I started to distance myself from the mess, and slowly, our relationship began to heal. A lot of things came out in those sessions. Angela had felt anxious about our marriage because of my frequent travel. I had been too passive, avoiding hard conversations, and my silence made her feel unimportant. It's strange how someone else's actions can make you feel like you're the one at fault. Therapy helped us balance the blame between the two of us. For a while, we went back and forth as we dealt with our anger and denial. But eventually, we found a middle ground and started to feel happy again. The promises we made to be honest, trustworthy, faithful, and communicative were the most valuable lessons from therapy for me. I really tried to make things work. I changed my travel schedule to spend more time with her. We began working together as a team, making sure to have dinner together, even on my long work days. But now, all of that seemed pointless. I found out about her second affair by accident. It was 3 a.m., and I needed to send a file, but my email wasn't working. Angela was asleep, so I decided to use her laptop to connect to her work network and send the file. As I moved the mouse, I noticed the preview pane of her email. There it was. "You are so unbelievably sexy." The sender was someone from her workplace. My heart raced, but I thought it might just be harmless flirting. But the rest of the email made it clear there was more to it. I tried to convince myself it was just a close friendship. I looked up the guy's name in her email. To my horror, there were many saved emails from him, and many from her as well. I clicked on one from him. "Yesterday was the absolute most amazing time of my life. You are a goddess." My heart sank. Then I clicked another, this time from her dot. The email mentioned arranging a date and said, "Ryan will be out of town. I have to be home by 10 for his call." Another one from him read, "You are a bad girl, and I love it." My anger surged. I thought about confronting her right then and there, but I also debated whether I should read all the emails. I needed some time to think. My first impulse was to forward all his emails to myself, but I didn't want to leave any evidence. Instead, I carefully copied each email onto a USB drive. I tried to sleep, but sharing a bed with Angela felt unbearable. Even lying on the couch felt worse, as if her infidelity was pushing me out of my own home. Eventually, I ended up at the kitchen table, flipping through magazines until the sun came up. After I showered, I woke Angela up and told her I had an urgent work matter to handle at the office. Then I left. Alone at my desk, I printed out all the emails between Angela and the guy, Richard. Their messages revealed a physical affair that had started 3 months ago and was still ongoing. Angela had no intention of ending it. This wasn't just a brief fling. They were deeply involved. The most shocking part was the photos Richard had taken. He sent Angela pictures of them together, some very explicit, including mirror selfies where you could clearly see their faces. Looking at those photos made my stomach turn and brought a wave of emotions. Another surprising detail was that Richard and Angela were scheduled to attend the same conference the following week in Phoenix from Monday to Friday. They openly talked about spending the night together, but they had to plan carefully since Angela needed to make sure she didn't miss her calls with me. Those calls were supposed to be part of our commitment to stay faithful and honest. Clearly, that promise didn't mean much to some people. I decided not to confront Angela right away. I wanted to take the week she was away to sort through my own feelings and figure out what I truly wanted. The last time this happened, she had blindsided me despite promising it wouldn't happen again. I couldn't predict where a confrontation would lead, but I knew it would be hard to keep my composure afterward. I glanced at my computer calendar and saw that it was Wednesday. I had already gone through my anger and denial. It was time to make a decision. What did I want? The answer came from deep inside me. Revenge. I wanted revenge. She had lied to me, promised loyalty, and then betrayed me. I had trusted her and spent 2 more years of my life with her because I believed the things she said in our counseling sessions. 2 years I could never get back. Divorce might not fix anything. I suspected she might be staying out of guilt or some twisted sense of duty. Maybe she felt trapped in our commitment. If we divorced, she'd probably get half of whatever we had left. She was a lawyer and attractive enough to find another man. What I really wanted was to destroy her dreams and her future. At one point, I even thought about hiring someone to hurt her. Violent thoughts crossed my mind, but I quickly realized that would make me a monster and could land me in prison for life. I needed another way. I kept up the act during our nightly check-in calls, becoming good at pretending I was okay. I decided to set her up and then bring her down. I just needed to come up with a foolproof plan. They say the devil is in the details, just like God. So I needed a plan that wouldn't give me away and that I could carry out successfully. I had to use what I knew: computers. The temptation was to do something completely out of my field to throw suspicion off me, but I decided to stick to my expertise. Using a complex, hard-to-trace method, I created an online account that tapped into servers in another country. I also set up a basic website. It took a couple of weeks to get everything ready. During this time, I practiced my acting and honed my skills. I sighed. "Hey, while you were away, I had some time to think about us." Angela, lying next to me in bed, murmured, I've been thinking too. Maybe we should consider having a baby." I tried to sound sincere. "Not right now, but maybe we could start trying in a few months." Her hand gently touched my chest as she lifted her head to meet my gaze. "That's a wonderful idea," she said. "I've wanted to bring up the idea of having a baby, but I was worried that we weren't quite ready," I said with a loving smile. "I'm feeling ready now." "You've been everything I could have asked for," I said, running my hand gently up and down her arm, holding her elbow. "You've been so open and loving, and I really believe you're fully committed to us." Angela lowered her head, seemingly embarrassed by the praise. I went on, "I think we should talk about this more, see how it feels. Make sure it's the right step. Maybe in a month or 2. Angela leaned in and kissed me. Acting can be enjoyable, after all. We talked about having a baby. I wanted her to make an informed choice, which meant considering how it would affect her career, our relationship, and our ability to take vacations. After finishing my website, I faced a critical decision. Should I go ahead with my plan or not? I decided to check Angela's email again, hoping to figure out if she and were still involved or if things had cooled down because of our baby talk. I waited until she was asleep, then woke up her laptop, logged into her work network, and accessed her inbox. There was nothing out of the ordinary, no emails from Richard. I ran a search, and then there it was, my wife's own words. "Baby, you know I'll probably get pregnant soon. Get the baby now. After I go off the pill, we'll have to cool it when I'm ovulating. Don't worry, baby. I'll be using a basal thermometer to tell me when the little egg drops, so we won't suffer too much." Richard responded, "We can test protection. Operation Revenge was officially in motion. That Friday night, Angela and I had a romantic dinner at her favorite restaurant. While waiting for coffee, I took her hand and said, "I think we should go for it," giving her a meaningful nod. Angela's face lit up. She took a deep breath and reached for my hand. "I really want a baby. Thank you. I love you." "I love you too, sweetheart," I replied. We agreed that she'd stop taking the pill when her next cycle started, and she could be fertile within a month. Little did she know that by Monday morning she'd be facing some unsavory characters or hackers trying to seem threatening. My website had a front page with a blurred image of Angela's face. Real wife having fun, real playing. I tried a few typos and settled on one that felt right. The headline read, "Real wife having a good time with a man who isn't her husband. Cheating wife must pay." That line was my favorite. It was a bit over the top, but the message had to get to Angela. I spoofed an email address from a business contact to make sure she'd notice it. The subject line was simple: "I know about you and Richard." I sent the email from an anonymous server, worried that the FBI might trace it back to me. By Saturday, I was anxiously waiting for the weekend to pass. I was relieved not to be at home. The waiting gave me time to prepare for what I hoped would be a convincing act. My plan depended on how Angela would react. If she broke down in tears and begged for forgiveness, I needed to be ready. As I pulled into the driveway, I saw her car already in the garage, the house lights on. It was time to see which version of Angela awaited me tonight. "Hey, honey," I called out. Silence. I found her in the kitchen, staring at an open bottle of wine that was already half empty. "Starting early?" I remarked. She shook her head. "I had a really rough day." I slipped into the role of the supportive husband, hiding my true intentions. I wrapped my arms around her, giving her a gentle hug and offering a neck rub to help her relax. As I worked on her shoulders, she tried to pull away, but I held on, pretending to comfort her. "Are you hungry?" I asked, trying to keep things casual. I nibbled on a cheese sandwich, wondering if my actions were actually helping. Maybe her tough day at work had nothing to do with me, but I needed to keep moving forward with my plan. That night, lying next to my unfaithful wife, I prepared for what was coming. The email I had received earlier in the week included both my email address and her parents' contact information. I let her think the consequences might be minor, hoping to draw out her distress and extend her suffering. I watched as she opened the email, her heart likely racing. Should I tell Ryan? Should I pay? She must have wondered. Ignoring the demands could lead to more, but paying might not solve anything. I checked the website again and saw that at 3:10 in the afternoon, she had paid $500 to have the photos removed. The thought of her agonizing over this decision all day was oddly satisfying. My plan was working. There's something deeply satisfying about seeing your plans come together. Revenge was my ultimate goal, but the act of planning and executing it had taken on a life of its own. Tuesday night wasn't like Monday. When Angela came home, I greeted her, and she responded with a warm hug and a kiss. She seemed happy, though I could tell it was forced. She had paid the money, but still wasn't sure if the blackmailers would keep their end of the deal. Angela is truly an engaging person, smart, with fascinating views, and we always have great conversations. We cooked dinner together, flirting and sharing food like we were in love. She thanked me for lifting her spirits, and for a brief moment it felt genuine. Ah, this is the life. Later, we lay in bed, talking about the possibility of having a baby. Her birth control cycle was ending soon, which meant waiting 2 to 3 weeks for her fertile window. "I can't wait," she exclaimed. "I love you with all my heart," she told me. Considering Angela's betrayal in the situation, the fact that we were discussing having a baby made me think, did I really need revenge? During my daily run, feelings of anger and pain resurfaced. Should I forgive her after making her suffer? Would it be more manly to divorce her and walk away? The answer surprised me. I wanted to cause her pain. I wanted to shame her. I wasn't interested in turning her into a genuinely faithful wife and mother. What I wanted was to disrupt her life in a way that would haunt her for the rest of her days. And I wanted her to never suspect it was me. She would always believe I had been the innocent victim, that she had lost me and the family we had planned. So what am I? I asked myself. I'm a man. I shook myself hard. I'm a man, I repeated out loud. I craved revenge. I wanted to hurt someone. I wanted to get into a fight and leave someone in agony. I slammed the car door shut and started the engine. Angela was about to face the consequences. Wednesday and Thursday passed quietly. I arranged for the dreaded email to be sent on Friday. We'd have the entire weekend to watch the chaos unfold. $10,000. She could handle $500, but $10,000 all at once would be overwhelming. The deadline was set for Monday noon, her time, or else. My goal was to push Angela to confess. I wanted to hear her say, "Ryan, I'm an ungrateful person who doesn't deserve you. I've lied and cheated. I'm worthless." Though I wasn't expecting exactly that. A brave man faces death once, while a coward experiences fear countless times. At 11 in the morning, Angela's office number appeared on my caller ID. Despite the urge to let it go to voicemail, I answered. "Hey, babe, what's going on?" "I need to meet you urgently." Her tone was serious, instantly concerned. "Are you all right? Is everything okay?" I asked. "Please." She hesitated, and I thought I heard a sob. "Please come home as soon as possible." Instead of rushing home, I drove around for an extra 10 minutes, blasting loud music. When I finally got home, Angela was waiting at the door, looking distressed. "What's the matter?" I asked, trying to wrap my arms around her, but she held me back. Tears streamed down her face, her hands trembling. I managed to stay composed. My wife, the woman I loved, was on the verge of admitting her infidelity, her involvement in taking explicit photos with another man, and the fact that she was facing an extortion situation. Despite my rage, I maintained a calm exterior. Though I pictured myself gripping her neck and shouting, "Give me back those 2 years, give me back my life, you cheating witch," I resisted. Instead, I took her trembling hands and reassured her, "Whatever it is, you know I love you." My words seemed to catch her off guard. She abruptly turned and walked toward the bedroom. I went to the kitchen, refilled a glass of water, and brought it to the bedroom. There, I found Angela lying face down on the bed, her body shaking with sobs. I sat beside her, placed my hand gently on her back, and offered her the glass of water. She shook her head to decline. My strategy was to stay composed and let her guide the conversation. I raised my hand slightly, signaling that I was listening. "I'm a terrible person," she started, placing her hand on my arm. I stayed silent, shaking my head slightly to show I disagreed with her harsh self-assessment, indicating that I still saw her as a decent person. It was clear she needed help to open up. "Why do you believe that?" I asked gently. She hesitated before answering. "There are pictures of me with someone else, not you. Pictures," I prompted, feigning surprise. Angela nodded, lowering her head in shame. "You never mentioned there were pictures," I said, maintaining my role as the supportive husband. "Are these recent pictures?" I asked, shaking my head in disbelief. "Angela? Who was it? Who?" I questioned, keeping up the facade. Her sobbing intensified. I dropped the mask of concern and observed her, emotionless. She was reaping what she had sown. I left the room and went to the kitchen, pouring myself a glass of single malt scotch. Angela cautiously followed and sat across from me. "You'll never forgive me," she uttered. I scoffed. "After all your promises? Do you want me to leave?" she asked, her voice trembling. I was on the brink of exploding. "No, I want you to explain to me why," I said, keeping my voice steady. "I want to know why you lied to me. What did I do to deserve this?" "You didn't do anything wrong," she said, her face buried in her hands, tears flowing once more. "I feel so ashamed." When I pressed her for his name, she finally admitted, "He's married." In that moment, I saw Angela for who she truly was. She had a need to act, to juggle an affair while maintaining the facade of a happy marriage. For her, it was an enticing challenge to play two roles, the devoted wife and the secret lover. She tried to be both the perfect mistress and the perfect spouse. In her mind, she envisioned transitioning into the perfect mother while keeping her side role intact. She continued her act, desperately hoping it would earn her an Oscar-worthy performance and ultimately keep me by her side. Had she never considered the potential consequences of failure? She kept talking, shifting to praise me and expressing regret for the pain she had caused. I could see the situation clearly. She had real feelings for me, but like the story of Adam and Eve, she had succumbed to temptation. The knowledge within the forbidden fruit consumed her. I had no doubt that Angela's affair had started innocently enough. From friendship to playful interactions, fueled by his need to escape grief and her own unspoken concerns about my commitment to starting a family, it evolved from communication to physical encounters. Soon Angela found herself playing a role, unaware that it had completely consumed her. As I looked at her vulnerability, I felt a strange connection. Not as spouses or lovers, but as two individuals trapped in an endless cycle of possessing knowledge without wisdom, desires without the strength to resist. Angela had tried to cover up her wrongdoing. "Why are you telling me this now?" I asked. "The pictures? She couldn't finish. She had mentioned the pictures earlier but hadn't elaborated. "What exactly are these pictures of?" I asked, keeping my anger in check. "Of me doing it?" she admitted, visibly distressed. "Images of my wife engaged in such an act would enrage any man." "Were you out of your mind?" I snapped. "What on earth were you thinking?" She revealed that it had been his suggestion, that the pictures excited him. I had already gathered that much from their emails. My focus shifted. "Is he coercing you? Is that what's happening here?" I asked, indignant. She might have been in the wrong, but she was still my wife. "Is he using those pictures to threaten you?" I asked, my voice tense. Angela shook her head, finally confessing, "I'm being extorted." "I got an email," she said. "It threatened me. Told me to visit a website, so I did. It had pictures of me, but my face wasn't clear. They demanded payment or else they'd expose me. They claimed to have addresses from my contact list. His face appears in those pictures. His wife will see them, everyone we work with." She gazed at me. "He nearly had a heart attack when I confronted him. He kept saying his wife would divorce him. That he'd lose everything." I snorted. "Wait," I asked. "You mean they were digital?" Angela nodded in confirmation. "You foolish," I trailed off, exasperated. "Don't you realize that digital files can be traced? Your emails are stored on servers. Skilled hackers can search for image files if they breach your network." Silence hung between us as I mulled over the issue. "If it wasn't your boyfriend," I said the last word with disdain, "then anyone might have gotten hold of a password or cracked it. Maybe someone left their laptop unattended or wrote down the password and lost the note. If it was a hacker, they might have searched for image files and then honed in on your account." "They didn't threaten him, right?" I asked, trying to piece together the full story. "No," Angela replied, her voice trembling. "Who knows?" I muttered. "He sent the pictures to you, right? So those pictures were in his emails too. They might have breached his account as well." "What should I do?" Angela asked, desperation in her voice, almost a plea for guidance. "You haven't told me everything yet," I pressed. "They demanded $500 and said if I paid, they'd remove my pictures from their website." $500? Are you kidding me? "What's the name of this website?" I asked, exasperated. "Let me see it." She gave me the website's name. I went to my computer and searched for it, but nothing came up. "Did they provide a URL or a link?" I called out to her. "A link. Probably some made-up name." "Can you access the email they sent?" I asked. Angela retrieved her laptop, placed it on her desk, and logged into her work email. "Send that email to me," I said, then reconsidered. "Actually, wait. If I forward it, the link might just turn into text. Let me take a look." I leaned over her desk, copied the email along with its link into a new message addressed to myself, and sent it. Returning to my desk, I opened the email when it popped up a minute later, with Angela watching over my shoulder. The words "cheating wives" appeared on the screen, making Angela step back instinctively. I pretended to read the text carefully. "Who are these jerks? Have you paid them yet?" I asked. "Yes, I paid them $500, Angela replied. "How did you pay?" I asked. "I used my Visa. They had a credit card link." I explored the website thoroughly. "I don't see your picture here," I said. "They said they'd remove it if I paid," she said, looking distressed. I looked at her, urging her to confess. "Come on, tell me why you're revealing this now." "Don't make me drag it out of you," I warned. Angela turned away. "They sent me another threat today. If I don't pay them $10,000 by Monday, they'll share the pictures with everyone." "Is that true?" I asked, shocked. Angela nodded and then broke down. "I've messed up everything. I can't believe this is happening," she sobbed, slumping onto the floor. "This isn't how I wanted my life to turn out." "You know what I'm going to do?" I asked calmly. "No," she whispered. "I'm going to divorce you. That's my plan." Angela sobbed harder. "What's your response?" I asked coldly. "You get what you give, honey. Every good thing has its end." "Will you pay?" she asked, her voice barely audible. "I'm lost. I've lost you," she said, raising her head. "What should I do?" "They demanded how much? $10,000. They won't stop," I noted. "I know," she replied. "If I hadn't lost you, I might have cared." Friday afternoon turned into evening. I dozed off and woke to find Angela in the den, staring at her computer. "I can't make the payment," Angela confessed. "I just can't." "I saw that coming," I grunted. $10,000 is a lot to part with without certainty." Maybe they're bluffing, she mused. If I tell everyone about the pictures, it's almost like they've already been shared. Angela, I can't believe you did this. We were thinking of starting a family. I don't know if I'll ever be able to move past this. On Monday morning, the final step of my plan was set in motion. I sent an email containing all the pictures and some of the most explicit conversations to everyone on her contact list: family, friends, and colleagues. I didn't wait until noon either. I packed my belongings and loaded them into my car. Some might expect me to stick around to relish the aftermath, but witnessing Angela's struggles would only bring me sadness. The illusion of the outside world as a facade could no longer be maintained. It was time for me to leave. Angela's life unraveled. She had to leave her job and suffered professional and social humiliation. People mocked her. Some turned their backs, but many were sympathetic. Love is intricate. I loved Angela, and she loved me. But her lack of self-control made our marriage untenable. Divorce proceedings were underway. I also worried about her attempting to get pregnant to tie me down. The divorce was finalized and our possessions were easily divided. We sold the condo and split the proceeds. Angela echoed her previous sentiment: having you is all that matters. However, having me was no longer an option. Truthfully, we stayed in touch. Her lover faced even worse consequences. His wife couldn't forgive his public humiliation and took him for all he was worth. I felt no sympathy for him. Angela and I started drifting apart when I met the woman I eventually married. Balancing a relationship with my new partner while still being connected to Angela was challenging. Angela reached out with a note when she remarried, expressing that she still had feelings for me. It's been years since we spoke, and honestly, I don't really care about her life anymore. Currently, Melanie and I have 2 kids, aged 3 and 5, and we're actively working on adding a 3rd to the family. Melanie is fully aware of my past, including all the details about what transpired with Angela. We've had open discussions about it. Melanie knows I'd react strongly if she were to ever cheat, and similarly, I know she'd react even more intensely if I were to betray her. The point I'm trying to make is that seeking revenge should be kept in perspective. It's essential not to let the desire for revenge consume you entirely. Getting back at Angela actually helped me grow stronger, and I believe become a better person. I faced the depths of pain and emerged into the light. I've experienced intense anger simmering within me. Now, when I hold my precious daughters, I'm fully aware of the profound and all-encompassing beauty of unconditional love.